You got it? Great.
Okay. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being audio video recorded. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting, and those are reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussions to the extent permitted by open meeting law. Please address all comments to the chair. This meeting of the Economic Development Committee will be held by Zoom, the link provided in the notice. And with that, I call the meeting to order, and we need to do a roll call vote, just for whoever's here. So Kathy Clark.
Kathy Clark here.
Josie Gilchrist.
Josie Gilchrist here.
Glenn McLeod, or Planning Board Representative.
I am here.
And I'm Anna Lockwood. I'm also here. Missing today is Jean and Mary Ray. So first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. I didn't receive any minutes. Did you receive any minutes, Kathy?
I did not, and I will email Danielle Marr and ask her in reference to our last meeting minutes.
Okay, that's great. All right, the next one is meet and greet discussion. So we haven't had a meeting since last September after the meet and greet. You know, Josie, you and Mary Ray led that. Do you have any notes you'd like to share with us? Your take on the event and what we did well, what we missed, and what should we focus on for next year?
I think overall, it went very well. I was surprised at the attendance despite the cold and the rain. And I was impressed by the community effort again to put it on. I feel like it's very much supported by the business community. A big shout out to PJ Keating, who looked ahead to the forecast and emailed me and said, "Hey, it's gonna rain that day. We'll bring pop-up tents." And I'm like, man, thanks. They came like an hour early and set up, and thankfully they did. They set up like 4 different tents for us leading into the barn, and they didn't have to do that. But I was just blown away again by the community's support in putting it together. I felt like it couldn't happen without them. We kind of orchestrate it, but really it's the business community that makes it happen. Sponsoring with their time or money or resources.
Yeah. Do you feel like the business community felt the benefits of the meet and greet? Because the initial idea of the meet and greet was to bring government with the business community. And I know Chris Riley had just started, and I think he was there, right?
Yes.
What's your thought on that?
And the I would happy when we do have representatives from other departments come. I would definitely like to see more. To be frank, I don't really think that we show up the way that we promise that we will, speaking as the town of Lunenburg. And so, the Economic Development Committee, it was a full committee that was there, but we definitely sent out like a mass email to all of the representatives from every, committee or board. And we didn't have very many outside of the Economic Development Committee. Caesar, the chair of the select board, was there. We had several members from the planning board that were there. But I feel like it's the type of event where you don't just send one representative. The goal is that we kind of flood it with our faces so that people can get to know us and we can get to know them on a deeper level. The original goal of it was for people to put a face to the name. And I think that, and I'm not really sure how to make that happen if we need to go in front of the select board, even, further ahead of time than we did this year and ask them to help us bring people in to go, or what the solution for that is.
I think the timing too, Josie, you know what I mean? The weather, the fact that it starts getting dark out earlier and it was raining. But I think, I was thinking about this afterwards and, you know, with the different committees, particularly that have to interact with business, like planning board and so forth, I think it's great to have like the planning board chair speak. You know what I mean? Maybe the chair from each of the committees, if they're present, or at least a representative from most of the town committees, maybe get up and speak as well. So people can, if they don't actually talk to them while they're there, know, okay, that's who that is. Do you know what I mean? Because I think the name tags are great. I think that's a wonderful idea. But, you know, just really kind of getting a feel for who's who is helpful too. Just a thought.
Yeah, Glenn, did you come to the meet and greet? I don't recall. I'm sorry. Life is a blur for me. I don't know where I was 7 a.m.
It was months ago now.
No.
No, I did. I was unable to attend. It was my daughter's wedding weekend. So
Oh,
Worthy excuse.
yeah, but I would have loved to have come. I've been dying to check out the ranch, but
right. So, you know, on taking on both of your comments, I think I see two things that we can maybe just. You've been the person of this. I don't know. Do you want to do you have notes that you're memorizing some of these things? Do you want me to make a note or, you know, to capture just as internal notes versus minutes?
To implement for next year, you mean?
Yeah.
Or this year, rather? Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So, you know, based on what you both said, my suggestion is, there's two sides of government. There's the volunteers and the committees, and there's the town employees. Unfortunately for town employees, you know, Heather, we had just lost a town manager. We have an interim town manager that had started, and that's, you know, he had hired Chris Riley, but it's an interim type basis. I think we can do two things. One is reach out to all the committees, go to their meetings on their public comment, and invite them in August. Start hammering that in August, and I'm happy to pop into every meeting and it's like, they're doing X, Y, and Z, and you know, would love for you guys to come, and then lobby the select board to direct the new town manager to rally up her department heads to come. And I think the focus for the committees and also the town employees that should be people that interact with public. So, for example, the DPW director, the building inspector. The building inspector was there. So, you know, have him come again. Chris Riley. The Conservation Commission, you know, like all of these that have a lot of interactions with people, allowing people to see these employees outside their setting and have a frank conversation with them, you know, because I think that sometimes it's a good thing. I can imagine, and I'm going to pick a little bit on the Conservation Commission. I mean, a lot of town business happened in economic development happens through, you know, conservation, not just planning board. Planning board has a lot of by right processes that, you know, like you follow these rules, you get your thing. But with the conservation is very, how can I say this, subjective, you know, 100-foot buffer zone, a lot of things can happen there. And, you know, and being able to call those people, and first of all, they only meet through Zoom. I can imagining, you know, like a Greg Roy or other town engineers, you know, be able to see some people from the Conservation Commission and have a conversation with them. Hey, what about this? What about that? Because, for example, and the reason I picked on the Conservation Commission and I mentioned Greg Roy, which I don't think he was there, was
He was.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, Greg Roy, in one of the Conservation Commission meetings, he's like, Madam Chair, may I please give you an idea? And he gave an idea of how to run the meeting and expedite a few things. And they took that notice, that's probably something that Greg Roy, if he has an opportunity to do that and not in a public way, is a good, conversation to have. So that's, based on what you guys said, that's what I would suggest for next year. Part of our planning is to, create a plan to go public to these commissions and to ask the select board to direct town manager to ask town department heads to come.
The other note that I have about the town official meet and greet was that we can't always count on the charitable donations of people to keep things going. And it is an economic development committee event. But my thought was, and I was hoping Mary Ray was here. Mary Ray manages the Low Places Ranch. Just if anybody watches this. But I want to make sure that we don't structure this now reoccurring event based completely off of their charity and letting us use the venue for free. She's not mentioned anything whatsoever. This isn't something that I'm like planning on her doing.
Right.
But I think it would be a shame if we structured this entire thing based off of, we've got 10 companies that are going to sponsor every year, and that's going to happen. And we've got this venue that we get for free. And I'm wondering what we can do now to start thinking about town funding for this event. Like, I wanted to know from Mary Ray, if you were to, offer your venue for a price, what would it be? So that we can start thinking about that. Say if it was $1,200 for the night, or who knows what else. That's something that we should think about for the future.
Well, let's talk about, if I may, let's talk about that now, because now it's town budget time. Technically we fall under the we fall under the select board, not the select board, but the planning board.
Right.
And because of that, I think, we can request the select board to participate on that. I think, Kathy, you being the chair,
Mhm.
my recommendation is, like, Josie, last year, how much money do you think, like, I don't think we should ask for a $5,000 budget, but, we could now, my idea was to ask Kathy, being the chair, to write an email to current town manager and Chris Riley and say, just what you said, that we have had this event, it's been a positive event, it has blah, 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 blah. And it would be great if we could, if the town could make it as part of the budget to allocate or budget about $1,000 or whatever number we think.
Well, here's the
Do you have numbers, Josie, of all the?
Yeah. So here's the thing, is that we count so much on local businesses to supply food. We count so much on Mary Ray to supply a venue. These are
Right.
things that, like, had they not been so charitable, I don't know exactly how much those things would cost. Like, if it was on us to, I feel like the direction of the meet and greet was originally for the town of Lunenburg to show up and to treat the businesses and to, but now it's so incredibly supported, and I'm very thankful for the local businesses that support it, but we are dependent on them to run this thing, when it should be, we can do it ourselves, and we want to treat you guys. We want to thank you for being businesses in Lunenburg. We want to provide you an opportunity to have a connection with us, and we want to get to know you. It was supposed to be something that the town did for the businesses, and I want to still give them the opportunity to sponsor. I think it's a great idea, but I personally accept a lot of those sponsorships. And that's also where the event is reliant on me filtering the funds, which I don't think that it should be that way. So
Yeah.
to answer the question, how much does it cost? I can tell you that we spent almost $2,000, and that doesn't include the charity of the venue and the food.
And the food, right?
The food that was provided. That includes the market basket
So,
trays.
so
Am I making sense?
you are. I'm
Okay.
I'm gonna just ask a very specific question. I said, you said we shouldn't count on businesses. This should be the town, and I agreed with you. And I
Mhm.
said the first step should be now is the time for our chair. I suggested, I offered Kathy
Yeah.
to write to the town and ask for a budget to be allocated for this purpose. And then you explain. I'm not sure if you're agreeing with my point that we should do that.
I
No.
am. I'm just
Okay.
sharing that thought. If
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
in addition
Okay.
to what you said.
Breaking it all down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think personally, I think, we gotta two things. I think we need to demonstrate to the town that is a value to the town. This is
Mhm.
government.
Yeah.
I think it's okay for business to support, to be part of
Yes.
it. It's a great way for business to get their name out.
Mhm.
There was the gentleman here with the IT company. He was able to
Mhm.
network there. So anyway, I think a small budget to get started is good.
Mhm.
I don't think we should be wishing to cover everything out of the first time asking.
Right.
No.
So I think, whatever number we want to ask, just as for the town to start feeling comfortable with that. I think
I
it's
think $2,000 or $2,500 would be a comfortable amount for us. It would mean that I wouldn't have to hustle and trying to get sponsorships. I could just offer it rather than, hey, like visit these places and then try to pull it out of them, which I do in other areas of my life. But I think that for this specific event, it should be an offering, but that we
Mhm.
should be able to do it
okay.
ourselves.
Glenn,
Yeah.
do you have anything to add?
Thank you. There we go.
Yeah, I would suggest starting with, as opposed to going straight to the interim town manager or the new town manager, is now that we have the advantage of having the land use director on board. I think he'd be a good resource to start with, at least initially. I don't know if you've met him yet, but he is very engaging and enthusiastic. So I think he speaks highly of a lot of grants and stuff. So I don't know if maybe he'd be familiar with, it seems like the type of event that would be ripe for someone to support, a grant to support. Because I do think it's a little difficult, as trying to build a business-friendly community, and then we actually lean on the existing businesses to support it. I agree is a little problematic. So if we could streamline that process, I agree that would be ideal. And I also, as far as trying to get more relevant faces there, I think everything Anna said is right on point. And I think as the event comes up closer, I think those who have direct access to the elected officials, their personal relationships, would just call them directly and try to put the heat on them, because that's generally how you get your best response from volunteers, is asking them to
Personal
actually follow up, personal contact. So I think that would go a long way to also getting those people to come and appreciate the program, and would also help support any future funding requests.
Okay. Do you have an idea for number that, like, I circulated 1,000, just mentioned 2,500. Do you have a number that you're comfortable with as a request?
No, I think Josie sounded very logical. It's tough you don't want to be too low in case they are receptive to give you some money, and then it's always tough to get it boosted up. But yeah, I think the 2,000, 2,500, with the, the premise that you're not looking to, to your point, Anna, not trying to cover it completely from the onset, but as the momentum grows, you could build on that. So, I think the $2,000, $2,500 is a good ask. And if hopefully they don't watch this, but then if you end up with $1,000, you're still ahead of the game.
Okay. Now, Kathy, what are your thoughts? Since I offered your services and I haven't given you the chance to speak yet.
No, I just to echo what they both said and what you said, and I agree with all the points. I wonder too, the disc jockey, Josie, did he do that as a donation of services? I kept thinking about that.
So that's exactly why I raised my hand, was
Right.
that 2,500 would allow Mary Ray to not cover certain things out of her pocket, and for
I
me
was
to
wondering,
not cover
yeah.
things out of my pocket, which we
Right,
did.
right.
We brought in a certain amount of money from the sponsorships, and again, it was awesome.
Right.
I'm happy to do that for the community, still offer them the opportunity to sponsor and put their business name out there. But it just simply wasn't enough. So that's why the 2,500, that would also include the DJ, which I think Mary Ray covered out of pocket.
Okay. Yeah, because that could be.
There were a couple other things. I'll find my notes and send them out. But yeah, she did cover a few things out of pocket, and so did I.
Okay.
My main concern is that I don't want this year for stuff to run through me, because I did have to fill out some W2 form, W9. I always get them confused. Tax forms from a couple of the sponsors, and that's something that I had to fill out, and it's making things a little complicated. And I feel a little stressed about it, taking money for this event
And then
having to like organize it so well so I don't get in trouble. I would really love to be able to filter things through the town this year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and when we started planning this, we didn't have a land use director for already a year, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think, yeah. All right. So Kathy, do you think this is something you want to take on? Write a
Yeah,
email?
I'll email our new town manager.
Glenn
and
suggested to start with Chris Riley only. Is that what you said?
You think, Glenn, that might be most?
Do you have a preference?
That I think that's easier, and I think he'll definitely have some insight or guidance, even if the next stop is the town manager. Like I said, I don't know if you've met him, but he's very personable and engaging and a good resource.
He was at the meet and greet too. Had a good discussion with him there, so I think that's a great idea. All right, so I will reach out to him.
If I can, another thing that I would ask of this committee is that any type of involvement in the town official meet and greet that we each did individually, we just make like a very typed out, very clean list and put it all together almost in like a systems and operations of the town official meet and greet. So that I always try to like make things to where if I died in a car accident tomorrow, you guys would all know what to do. You guys would know who I contacted. The show would still go on.
I'd rather you not die.
Yes.
I know what a contrast. How about a Google Drive? I mean, we could, share information through a Google Drive.
It would just be really nice to have all of our notes in one place and exactly what we do around that time and who we contact, who we use for porta potties, DJ, whatever. All the information's there, all the contact, and how far out we book things, and so that next year it's all right there, ready to go, and it's right there available for the next members of the committee if they want to continue. Yeah.
And I do think that's one of the stronger arguments as to having some town funding is the awkward position that Josie was in, as you guys were discussing it before, and as she would accept the donations and funds. I mean, that's certainly not an appropriate position for us to put her in,
Right.
especially, it's fine on the initial few attempts where we're trying to figure out if this is a viable project, but if it's been deemed viable and successful and want to pursue more, then that really should be the first step, is to streamline that aspect of it and not put her in that position. And I think that speaks a long way to legitimizing the process, is kind of highlighting how sketchy, if you will, that process was, and how unfair of a position it puts her in.
Well, I want to be very clear. I was very happy to do it. I'm happy to.
That was clear. That was clear.
Okay.
Yeah,
But I do want to make sure that I'm, I guess, honoring everybody and making sure all the information is very transparent and following all the steps. 'Cause I can
No.
keep my notes and transactional lists and all of that, but
no, Josie,
Yeah.
it's about, starting something new is difficult, and we, mostly with you and Kathy leading, this has been the second successful year of this event, and that's a huge undertaking to really figure out what it takes to actually happen. It's not just having an idea, but executing 2 years in a row. And I think this is the next logical step. So I think that's good. Any other comments about, I think, Kathy, do you know if the phone number that we have here is a Jean?
Do you see it?
It's 0364.
0364.
Yeah, and the last phone numbers.
Yes,
Oh,
it is. It's Jean.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there we go.
But had to use my landline. So, so this is
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
not
I've never
great.
done that
Yeah.
before. That's interesting.
Oh, you can do
Yeah.
that from a home phone.
Yeah. So
Okay.
while we're on the topic, in about 5 minutes, I'm going to be switching over to my cell phone so I can drive and still talk.
Okay.
Do you have any other comments? We were discussing the town meet and greet, just a bit of a post-mortem, and coming up with ideas what we can do better. We talked about, I think you missed the first part of the conversation, how to get
Yeah.
more towns employee and town committees there, and we came up with the idea of starting some strong inviting in August, by going to the committee meetings and inviting them. And I'm happy to do that. And but anyway, and then you heard the last part of the conversation. Do you have any other thoughts about the process, how it went, and what we could do better? Or
Well, we need if we're going to have it at that point in time, we're going to need like a camp light so people can see when they're signing in. We need a formatted sheet for them to fill out instead of just loosey-goosey. Because we didn't have a designated receptionist, so I played it last year, and there was just a lot of pieces that were like, this isn't working well,
okay,
So
that's
more formal sign-in table,
Yeah.
designated person.
that's good feedback, Jean. All right. The next item on the agenda is discussion and plans for 2025. I put this here as a a kind of a broad thing. We this past year, when I think about this past year, I think we starting to make noise about hopefully getting streamlining some of the process of opening businesses in Lunenburg. I heard Glenn at one of the recent planning board meetings. He brought that up again, and the planning board seems to be open to discussing that, which is good. A lot of these things take a lot of conversation to get started. Then we also did the meet and greet. What are our goals and wishes for 2025?
I had a couple of thoughts. Well, one thought, as we start to get more businesses, our downtown area suffering as it may be, but we have, some pretty good, strong businesses in town, and you go through town centers, and a lot of towns have the banners on the poles or the signs. Not that we have, we've got the phone poles, but just to show some semblance of businesses within the district, and I think it would help in terms of the center specifically. Of course, I'm thinking of the village where a lot of people don't realize that there are businesses within the village. They're overlooked. The hair salon, the dentist who's been there for years, et cetera. So, just similar to that of other towns. Maybe businesses would want to sponsor, even veterans pictures. You've seen that in a lot of towns do that. I think Fitchburg has done that, I think, more recently. I think
The
Lundy.
Historical Commission is working on that.
Are they? Okay. I wasn't even aware. Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Hometown heroes, what they call it.
Well, I just thought if businesses sponsor something, for individual banners, were they doing like veterans pictures and so forth, or talking of such?
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
I don't know. Their meetings are not recorded. I just see their
Okay.
agendas.
Okay, maybe I'll reach out. I'm just curious because I think that would be something that would be great for us to be able to take the initiative on. But if they're already doing it, then that's
Yeah.
so.
Okay. Had a couple things. You have something else?
Well, my pet peeve is walkway in the going across Mass Ave and where it's a state road, and Mass DOT before poo-pooed it. But I'd like to talk to Chris Riley further about it too, especially where he comes from, Marblehead. And, we have so many towns surrounding us that have the crosswalk and the flashing sign. And the argument from Mass DOT before was, because I had asked them about a crosswalk for overflow parking for the village specifically, where it always gets filled. And where there used to, once upon a time, be a crosswalk when there was a primary school way in the back years ago, the very old primary school. And they said it was too close to the intersection with the lights. But, you look around, you go to Air, you go to any of these towns, and they all have multiple, crosswalks and the flashing signs. And I think the argument could be made, particularly with Marshall Park, and with the skate park evolving and all of that, it's a safety issue. And I just think it would be helpful. It would slow down traffic. It would help our business community in the center and just create more interest in our town center too, for people coming through rather than them just flying by. So,
So one thing I'll tell you, you might want to jump on this. The building committee met last night.
okay. Municipal Building Committee. Yeah.
And they talked about putting that crosswalk there, and they
Did. Okay.
and they abandoned that plan.
Really?
So one thing to get this conversation started,
Yep.
to ask them to incorporate that crosswalk.
Yeah.
By incorporating into their design, it will we will actually have a plan that we can submit to the Mass DOT to request that.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Anna. Thank you.
Yeah, so if they incorporate, we can then, because we're gonna need to reach out to Mass DOT for because they need utilities for the new place. There will be transactions with Mass DOT.
Yep.
Probably add that one.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay.
Michael Ray is the chair of that.
He is. Okay. All right. I'll be back in town next week, so I'll talk to him about that. The other thing, the big thing is the bylaw that we, discussed and went to the planning board on before in terms of getting rid of the hurdles for small business. And I think that's important to try and get that conversation going with Chris, maybe in a meeting, in a workshop, or have him attend our EDC meeting and try to get that going. That's critical, I think, because we want to increase our business community, and it's just been so problematic.
Yeah. Glenn, what do you think it should be the path for that?
I'm really, that I'm unsure of, but I agree wholeheartedly that that's a critical issue. And the advantage or disadvantage I have is that I have no idea what those hurdles are. I'm just your average citizen that doesn't have an appreciation for exactly those type of hurdles. And that's where your guys' expertise is really imperative. And, that's what I'm committed to do, is try to figure out what exactly those actions are. And I'm a big proponent of trying to identify, like, whatever that one of those issues, if we just picked one small, the proverbial lowest hanging fruit, and just make some progress in that direction. I think that works hand in hand with your global plan of, like, the meet and greet, and maybe doing, making downtown more attractive to citizens. I think all that's important, but the critical aspect is, actually creating an atmosphere where businesses want to come to Lunenburg and can come to Lunenburg. But that would be my learning curve to learn exactly what it is that those hindrances are, and just pick away at them. And I think that's clearly where we have that advantage now of having the land use director, Chris Riley, on board to that's why the town hires subject matter experts, so that, people like me that have no idea, and people like you that have more of an idea, can kind of articulate what it is we're looking for, and he can kind of put it together. And again, the impressions I have so far, that he's really a good fit for that position and Lunenburg.
Yeah, I had a brief discussion with him at the meet and greet about it. And he said that was something that he thought, was really important for the town too, and that it could be something that could be worked on and developed to be presented at town meetings. So
yeah, and it would be just my suggestions. I have extensive history of attending town meetings, but not in Lunenburg. Only a few here in Lunenburg, and that would just be my suggestion or my input, is to keep it simple. The old adage.
Right.
I mean, especially when it comes to zoning, it's just imperative, especially as we start, trying to get some momentum. And, whether we even just, and maybe Josie would be good at this. She's, seems to be pretty good at, the creativity end of things. If we named our initiative, what we're trying to do is, make it so, Lunenburg is business friendly, and we just come up with a title for it. And like this year would be, we're changing, subsection A to read this way instead of that, and just slowly progress. And as people get used to it, we can take a bigger bite out. And it, it doesn't give you the satisfaction of maybe fixing it day one, but as we all know, it's very difficult to to get the members of town meeting up to speed, and it's for good reason. I mean, I would identify myself as being one of those who are immediately, skeptical of what is going on. Just a little background. The reason I'm getting more involved with local government is, in the last 5 years, as I paid more attention to government in general, the less impressed I was. So the more, if at town meeting we brought something straightforward and made it perfectly clear what the problem was, what the solution was, and how it was going to impact, I think it'd be a lot easier to get things passed. As I'd use the example of, although it was ultimately successful, the water district bylaw, that was a bruising process, and ultimately it was passed successfully. But I think we don't want to try something like that out of the gate, and particularly, again, when you hit zoning, it's very disheartening at times. So that would be my only suggestion, or my opinion, is let's pick something really small and easy to fix. And again, we would do that with discussions with the land use director, as well as Mr. Gingras. As I've had a couple of baseline basic conversations with both of them, and they're very knowledgeable. I think if we had a work session, or you guys, a delegation had a work session, I think we could probably pick out something like that, or else be like, nope, that's very naive. You gotta go at it a different way, and then that's what we do.
Yeah, I think Chris had some solid ideas, Glenn. He really, he felt that, because he had gone over how things are written right now, just by example, hurdles. for businesses trying to open, such as needing a parking plan for, in a strip mall where an existing business already has parking, designated parking for each unit, and where the owner had previously already presented, a parking plan. Needing an architectural plan for a space that really wasn't a change of use per se, and where there are no alterations are going to be. When you look at businesses that have to expend money, volumes of money, it just scares them away. And I think that's what's occurred in instances from what I've heard. And so, I think we've been fortunate with recent businesses that have stuck it out with us, in large part, like Blue Sky Golf, for instance. He went through a lot of hurdles to get his business open, and he lost a lot of money in doing so, but he's a Lunenburg resident, and I think it was really important to him to have a business within town. So, I think it's a critical piece. Chris did say he felt that the way things were written applied more to bigger areas and not small towns like Lunenburg. So I think it'll be really helpful for him to, to work on this with us.
Kathy, do you have a suggestion, since I asked Glenn, for how we should tackle this?
I defer to Chris. Just based on the conversation I had with him, maybe start by scheduling a workshop, asking Chris if there's a day and time that we can have a workshop and go over this with him.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, I might just thinking of our current members, and I know Jean is the one that has she has a more strict job. But thinking of Josie, you and I, and even Mary Rachel to an extent. And I know Glenn is retired. Maybe, to facilitate that, maybe we can even plan like an afternoon meeting with him. There's nothing stopping us from having a afternoon meeting of the Economic Development Committee that we could talk with Chris Riley, and maybe that can even be our next month's meeting. Before we put the agenda out. And it can be in person, we can do it during normal business hours, sit in the conference room with Twitter. And I think Josie, with enough notice, Josie, do you have, like, if we were to have a meeting during the day, is there a time that's better for you? Or day?
Still there?
I think she's the 405 number. She might be driving. Well, you know what?
She had to get off at 7.
Right. So I'll send an email.
Okay.
Out to all the members, and I'll ask if there is a time of the week that works for them. Just so, one thing I think it's hard for town employees is that they work all day, and then it's good when they can make themselves available. But if we can minimize that, I think it's appreciated. I think that's good. I think those are good. If we can get anything moving on that direction, I think it's wonderful. And I think those are good goals to have. So, all right. The next item on the agenda, if there's no other comments about discussions and plans for 2025, I think we talked about actually focus on the meet and greet and zoning bylaw that's detrimental to businesses. Next,
Josie's still on, not to interrupt you, Anna. Josie is still on. She said we just can't hear her.
Okay.
Fix it, so.
Yeah, I'll send an email.
Yeah, she does have availability, so.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is public comment. We lost our only public, so now it's just us. So I'll move it to comments, member updates and comments. Does anybody have any updates or comments?
Josie just texted Town Fair happening in May that LBA is sponsoring. That's a big fair. Yeah, EDC needs to coordinate with LBA on that. I think that's going to be a really huge event. I believe that's at Passio School.
Right. I thought you scored that's going to be a part Parks and Recreation.
Oh, is it?
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking of like um, what town resources do we need, right? Because if it's going to be a town event, it does, which it will be because I know it's a part. You know, Parks is working with her.
Okay.
It makes it easier to put the event together.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure if there's something else we can coordinate. That's good.
Yeah, she's just saying there are opportunities for EDC to get involved. So Parks and LBA are hosting, but EDC should have a table.
Oh, okay.
Um,
We can
So
talk.
that's a good idea. Yeah. And what is the date on that again? I think it was the beginning of May, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
What is the date, Josie, if she can? Oh, May 10th. Okay.
Okay.
All right, great.
All right.
So
Yeah. We can definitely.
11 to 6, May
Let
10th.
me actually then put some notes on my.
So we've got a little bit of time before then. Oh, wow. They have already 50 vendors signed up. That's
Wow.
really good. Yeah, that's really good. Live music, bouncy house. Okay. Dunk tank. I was just going to say dunk tank. That's a great thing to sponsor. I did that before. Oh, sword fighting ring, food trucks. Wow.
All right. So agenda.
And a petting zoo. So that's great. Okay, she's jumping off.
Okay. So that's what is that event called, Kathy?
Vendor fair. It's LBA vendor fair, correct? Before you go, Josie? Yep, all vendor fair. They're calling it. Okay.
And
Hosted by Parks in collaboration with LBA. Okay.
workshop with. Okay. Okay. Glenn, do you have any comments?
No, I don't. No. Nope.
No. Okay. Jean, do you have any comments?
Okay, she's going. You still there, Jean?
No, yeah, no, I have to unmute myself. No, I'm good.
All right. Kathy, do you have any comments?
Nope, I think that covers it. So we'll
Okay.
just see if we can get that meeting with Chris for next month.
Okay. So you will try to coordinate that for us?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll
And
even-
and I'll send an email out asking everyone for their availability.
Okay.
All right. I don't have any comments. And with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
All right. Can I have and that's Kathy Clark. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right. And we need to do roll call. Kathy Clark?
Yes, adjourn. I'm tired.
Glenn?
I don't get a vote, do I?
Oh, that's right. You don't. No.
I mean, you have my support.
You're tired.
Jean?
Yes.
Okay, and I for myself, and it was very nice, quick meeting. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you if
Thank
not before next month.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.